This podcast takes a look at my own conversion story, which is available on the EWTN YouTube channel. A link is in the description.
Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into a story that I think you're really going to find interesting.
Absolutely.
It really makes you think, what leads someone on a journey from really fervent belief all the way to agnosticism and then back again?
Right.
And that's the question that we're going to be asking with this fascinating conversion story of Michael Kress.
It is.
Who is a preacher's kid.
Yes.
Turned agnostic, explored a variety of Protestant denominations before finally coming home to the Catholic Church.
Yeah. And that's quite a journey and a fascinating story.
It really is.
And we're going to be unpacking it all today based on Michael's interview on the Journey Home program.
So we're not just talking about switching denominations here.
No.
This is a much, much deeper story.
Absolutely.
To understand this transformation, I think we need to start at the very beginning.
Yeah.
With Michael's childhood.
Absolutely. So his dad was a preacher in the Anderson Church of God, which is a denomination known for its strong commitment to Christ and Scripture.
So faith was just a part of his life.
Oh, yeah.
From the very get-go.
Absolutely, from the beginning.
Yeah, and I read that he was even baptized when he was 6 years old.
Yeah, and by all accounts, it seemed like a genuine desire on his part.
Wow.
Not just, him going through the motions or something like that.
Right.
But then when he enters his teenage years, things begin to shift for Michael.
Is this that classic story that we hear about? Kind of that doubt creeping in during adolescence?
It is. And in Michael's case, secular education and exposure to concepts like Darwinian evolution really played a significant role.
You're right.
And he began to feel like faith and intelligence were at odds with one another.
I think that's a struggle that a lot of young people face.
Yeah.
Even those raised in the church.
Exactly.
There's this point where they have to reconcile, what they believe with what they're learning out in the world.
Yeah, you've got this tension. And for Michael, this tension really comes to a head when he heard a certain sermon criticizing godless evolution. And he actually described feeling angry and frustrated.
Really?
And it ultimately led him to stop attending church.
Wow.
Voluntarily for years.
So we're talking about a pretty significant break
from
his faith upbringing.
Years.
Yeah. Did anything happen to reignite that spiritual spark?
Interestingly enough, it was a trip to Europe that plants the seeds for his eventual return to faith.
Okay.
He received an unexpected invitation from Rudi Holtz, who was an elderly German man from his church, to accompany him on a journey through Europe.
Wow, what an incredible opportunity, especially for somebody who'd been so immersed in this world of faith and doubt up to this point.
Yeah, and it was really pivotal for Michael.
Okay.
He was deeply moved by the awe-inspiring beauty of European cathedrals.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly the Cologne Cathedral.
I've heard that that's absolutely breathtaking.
Oh, it is.
But what was it about these structures that resonated with him?
Yeah.
Was it purely an aesthetic thing, or was there something deeper going on?
It was definitely deeper than just the aesthetics.
Yeah.
I think it was the embodiment of faith in those cathedrals that really captured him. These cathedrals with their soaring arches and the intricate details, they weren't just buildings.
Yeah.
They were testaments to centuries of belief expressions of a yearning for transcendence.
So even in his agnostic state, he couldn't help but be moved by this very tangible representation of faith.
Right, and that connection between beauty art and the divine, I think, has always resonated so strongly with me as a Catholic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a powerful force. And for Michael, it awakened this sense of wonder, this longing for something beyond just the material world.
Did this trip lead him straight back to church?
Quite.
Or was there more to the story?
There's more to the story. This European experience did introduce another element that would shape his journey. He met Susanna, his future wife, online as a German language pen pal during this period.
Wow, a language pen pal turned wife.
Yeah.
What a lovely story.
It is, and this connection further fueled his desire to return to Europe.
So he eventually finds his way back to Europe. What happens next?
Yeah.
Does he dive headfirst back into his, childhood faith?
Not exactly. He spent time in both Heidelberg and Salzburg, and these experiences provided him with a sense of solitude, quiet moments for reflection that he really needed. He was starting to grapple with the big questions again.
Yeah.
But it wasn't an easy process.
It sounds like he was searching for something.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe he wasn't quite sure what it was yet.
Exactly. And it was during this time that his father, ever the loving guide, starts sending him care packages.
Okay.
That include, you guessed it, some religious books.
I can only imagine what those dinner conversations were like with his mindset at the time.
Yeah.
Did any of them have an impact on him?
One book in particular did The Case for Christ by Lee Strobel.
Yeah.
And the argument about the martyrdom of the apostles really made him stop and think.
The idea that people wouldn't willingly die for something that they knew to be false.
Yeah, that's a powerful argument even for a skeptic.
It really is.
It was a turning point for Michael. This was his first real encounter with apologetics, the rational defense of faith.
Mm-hmm.
And it opened his eyes to a way of thinking about faith that he hadn't considered before.
You know, it's interesting how different approaches to faith resonate with different people.
Right.
You know, some are drawn to the mystical, others to the intellectual,
right,
and some to a combination of both.
Absolutely. And for Michael, this intellectual engagement was crucial.
Yeah.
It planted a seed of doubt in his agnosticism and pushed him to start exploring faith from a new perspective.
So he was starting to re-engage with faith.
Yeah.
On this intellectual level.
Mm-hmm.
But was there a point where he actually felt ready to, take that next step and actually join a church?
Yes, and this decision coincides with a major life event. He and Susanna decided to get married, and they both felt that it was important to find a church home together.
I love that, that shared desire for a spiritual community.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
It is.
It's like they recognize that faith isn't just this individual pursuit.
Yeah.
It's something that's meant to be lived out in community.
Absolutely. And they ended up at the Mark Twain Village Chapel, which was located on an American Army base in Heidelberg.
Okay.
And they were drawn to the fellowship and the intellectually stimulating Bible studies.
Was this sense of community something that Michael was actively seeking, or did it kind of surprise him?
I think it was a bit of both.
Okay.
He was craving connection and belonging, but he was also hesitant to fully commit to any one denomination.
So he's dipping his toes back into the water of organized religion.
Yeah.
But not quite ready to dive in head first.
Exactly.
Did he find what he was looking for at this chapel?
Initially, yes.
Okay.
The fellowship was welcoming and the intellectual discussions were stimulating.
Mm-hmm.
He even goes through his second baptism as a public rededication of his life to Christ.
So a symbolic gesture of his renewed commitment to faith.
It is, but it sounds like there was still something missing.
Okay.
What happened next?
What happened next?
Well, despite this newfound faith, Michael still felt this yearning for a deeper, more structured path for spiritual growth.
Okay.
He was looking for something beyond just the initial conversion experience, something that could guide him on a more profound spiritual journey.
I think that's something that a lot of devout Catholics can relate to.
Absolutely.
That initial conversion experience is powerful.
Right.
But it is just the beginning.
It is.
There's always more to learn and discover.
Yes.
Within our faith.
Absolutely. And this desire for a more structured path is what eventually led Michael and Susanna on their next adventure.
Okay.
They moved to the University of Illinois, where Michael was pursuing his PhD.
New environment, new challenges.
Yeah.
Did this move help him find what he was looking for?
It did in a way, but it also presented its own set of challenges.
Okay.
Michael found the academic environment at the University of Illinois to be rather antagonistic towards faith.
Okay.
And he also struggled to find a church home that truly resonated with him and Susanna.
So even though he'd reconnected with faith, he was still facing these roadblocks in a sense.
Yeah.
Like that search for belonging, that search for a spiritual home was still ongoing.
Exactly. But in a way, those challenges open up a new path for him.
Okay.
Seeking a less hostile academic environment, he enrolled in a course on Catholic thought.
Interesting.
Taught by Dr. Ken Howell.
Dr. Ken Howell. Now, that's a name I recognize.
Yeah.
His work on Catholic apologetics and evangelization is really remarkable.
It is.
I bet that class was eye-opening for Michael.
It was, and it had some really unexpected consequences.
Okay.
Through this class, he was exposed to the writings of the early church fathers and deeper Catholic theology, and he began to realize the depth and richness of the Catholic intellectual tradition, a tradition he had never really considered before.
It's amazing how sometimes we need that intellectual spark
to
ignite a deeper spiritual journey.
Absolutely.
And for many, encountering the intellectual depth of Catholicism is really a game changer.
Yeah, it can be. And this intellectual awakening was further complemented by a more experiential encounter with Catholicism.
Okay.
Susanna's friend Lisa Kleberg invited them to a candlelight mass at the Newman Center.
The Newman Center.
Yeah.
A hub of Catholic life on so many college campuses.
Yeah, it is.
What impact did this mass have on Michael?
He was really struck by the beauty and reverence of the liturgy. It was a sensory experience that touched him very deeply. He later described it as a glimpse into a world of beauty and mystery that he had been missing.
It's a reminder that, faith isn't just about intellectual assent.
Right.
It's about encountering the divine through ritual, through beauty, through the sacraments.
Absolutely. Did this lead him straight to the Catholic Church?
I'm guessing not.
You guess right. Not immediately. He was definitely intrigued by Catholicism, but still hesitant to take that leap.
Okay.
So he decided to try the Episcopal Church first, seeing it as a sort of halfway step.
A halfway step.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, between his Protestant upbringing and the Catholic Church.
Why the Episcopal Church specifically?
Well, he was drawn to the liturgy
and
the sense of history that he found in the Episcopal Church.
Okay.
It felt familiar, yet also offered a connection to a broader tradition. But his time there was relatively short-lived.
What happened? Was there something specific that pushed him away?
He grew increasingly uncomfortable with the Episcopal Church's approach to doctrinal authority.
Okay.
He found their polity, which gave lay people a vote on matters of morality, to be troubling.
That's a key difference between the Episcopal Church and the Catholic Church, right?
It is.
That role of the magisterium,
Yeah.
the teaching authority of the Church, is central to Catholicism. And for many converts, that sense of clarity and authority is a major draw.
It is. Michael longed for that sense of certainty, that grounding in a tradition that stretched back centuries. He wanted to be part of a church that held firm to its beliefs, a church that offered a clear moral compass.
So this discomfort with the Episcopal Church's approach to doctrine kind of pushed him closer to Catholicism.
It did. It made him realize that his search for a deeper, more structured faith was pointing him towards Rome.
Towards Rome, okay.
But it was a particular event, an unexpected moment of grace that sealed the deal.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What happened?
On Epiphany 2013, Michael and Susanna decided somewhat spontaneously to skip their usual Sunday school class and attend a Catholic Mass.
Wow, that sounds like divine providence was at work there.
Yeah.
What was it about that particular Mass that touched them so deeply?
They both described this overwhelming feeling of coming home.
Wow.
It was a sense of peace, of belonging, of finally finding the spiritual home they'd been searching for.
Yeah.
And they knew in that moment that they were meant to be Catholic.
What a powerful experience.
Yeah.
It's like all the pieces of his journey were finally falling into place.
Yeah.
So what do they do next?
This profound experience led them to participate in RCIA, the Rite of Christian Initiation for adults.
So they were ready to take that leap of faith.
They were, and as Providence would have it, their journey with Dr. Howell's class proved to be beneficial.
Okay.
It actually expedited their entry into RCIA, allowing Michael to join that very Easter vigil with Susanna as his sponsor.
Wow, can you imagine the emotions of that night?
Oh, yeah.
The culmination of, years of searching and questioning and yearning.
It must have been incredible.
Yeah.
And from that point forward, Michael embraced his Catholic faith fully. He talks about feeling deeply nourished by the Eucharist and experiencing a sense of healing and reconciliation through the sacrament of confession.
For many converts, the sacraments become this source of profound grace and transformation.
Absolutely.
They're not just rituals. They're encounters with the divine.
That's precisely how Michael describes his experience. He felt this tangible connection to God through these sacraments, a connection that had been missing in his life for so long.
But his newfound faith wasn't without its challenges, was it?
It wasn't, no.
What sorts of challenges did he face?
Well, his conversion had a significant impact on his academic career.
Oh, really?
The progressive environment at the university really clashed with his newfound beliefs, making it difficult for him to reconcile the two.
That's a struggle that a lot of faithful academics face.
Yeah.
Especially in certain fields, it can be really tough to navigate.
Yeah.
Those competing worldviews.
Yeah, it was a difficult decision, but Michael ultimately chose to leave academia.
Wow.
It was a leap of faith in a different sense.
Yeah.
Trusting that God would lead him to a new path where he could live out his faith more authentically.
And did he find that new path?
He ended up working for the archdiocese, where he could use his talents and passion to serve the church.
That must have been incredibly fulfilling to align his career with his faith.
Yeah.
What kind of work did he do for the archdiocese?
He was involved in several different initiatives, including one you might find particularly interesting.
Okay.
Mass Mob St. Louis.
Mass Mob. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Isn't that where people gather and attend Mass at these beautiful, often underappreciated inner city churches?
That's exactly it.
It's a wonderful way to support these parishes and to bring attention to these architectural and historical gems that they house.
Yeah.
It's like a celebration of both faith and community.
Absolutely.
I remember attending a Mass Mob event at St. Alphonsus Liguori a few years ago.
Oh, wow.
The energy was incredible.
Yeah.
It was packed.
Yeah.
So Michael was involved in bringing people back to these often forgotten churches.
He was, and it speaks volumes about his passion for sharing the beauty and richness of the Catholic faith. He wasn't content to simply live out his faith privately. He wanted others to experience that same sense of awe and wonder that had drawn him to the church.
That's the heart of evangelization, isn't it?
It is.
Sharing the joy of our faith with others.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing to witness.
It is.
So his journey from preacher's kid to agnostic to devout Catholic, actively working for the church.
Yeah.
It's truly remarkable.
It really is. And it highlights several key elements, I think, that are particularly relevant for us as Catholics.
Absolutely. As we wrap up our deep dive into Michael's story,
Yeah.
what are some of the biggest takeaways you think our listeners can glean from his experience?
Well, first and foremost, I think it underscores the power of beauty and art as a pathway to the divine. Those European cathedrals weren't just tourist attractions for Michael. They were catalysts for a spiritual awakening.
It's a reminder that God can speak to us in unexpected ways.
Right.
Through the beauty of creation, through art, through music. It's like those moments of beauty pierce through the noise of the world and touch our very souls.
Yeah. His story also highlights the importance of intellectual engagement with our faith.
Yes.
For Michael, encountering apologetics was crucial. It gave him the tools to grapple with his doubts and to ultimately embrace faith on a deeper level.
And as Catholics, we have this rich intellectual tradition to draw upon.
Oh, we do.
It's something we should be proud of and eager to share.
Absolutely.
Michael's story encourages us to delve deeper into the whys of our faith.
Yes.
To explore the works of the great theologians and philosophers who shaped our understanding of God.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the profound impact of community and mentorship.
Yes.
The fellowship he found in Heidelberg and the guidance he received from Dr. Ken Howell played a vital role in nurturing his faith.
We're not meant to journey alone.
We're not.
Having a supportive community, people who challenge us and inspire us, is so essential for our spiritual growth.
It is.
And mentors, those who've walked the path before us.
It is. Right.
Can offer invaluable wisdom and guidance, thinking back to Michael's time in the Episcopal Church.
Yeah.
His unease with their approach to doctrinal authority really stands out.
Yeah, that struggle highlights the significance of the magisterium, the teaching authority of the Catholic Church, which provides that sense of clarity and certainty that Michael was longing for.
Right.
Knowing that we're not left to interpret complex moral issues on our own, but can rely on the wisdom of the Church is a source of great comfort and strength for many Catholics.
And his fascination with the early church fathers
underscores
that enduring value of tradition and history
absolutely
within our faith.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that Catholicism isn't something new or invented.
Right.
It's rooted in this deep and continuous tradition that stretches all the way back to the time of Christ.
It does.
And knowing that we're a part of something so much bigger than ourselves.
Right.
Something that has sustained people throughout history. It's truly awe-inspiring.
It is. And for Michael, all of these elements converged in the Catholic Church, providing him with that spiritual home he had been seeking for so long.
Yeah.
His story reminds us that the journey of faith is often winding and unexpected, but it can lead to some incredible discoveries.
It's a journey worth taking, even with all its twists and turns.
Absolutely.
Michael's story is a testament to the transformative power of faith.
Yeah.
The importance of intellectual engagement,
Right.
the beauty of our traditions, and the strength we find in community.
Absolutely.
And it serves as an inspiration for all of us to delve deeper into the richness of our Catholic faith, to embrace the sacraments, to engage with our intellectual tradition, to find support and guidance in our communities, and to share the joy of our faith with others.
And within the Catholic Church, we have everything we need to live a life filled with purpose, meaning, and grace.
What a powerful reminder.
Yeah, it is.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us.